significant to me, and he made it seem like it was a big deal. So as I go through these, I realize, so in this set, there's one that's non-chill filtered. So let's first talk about what chill filtered is. Basically, with whiskey, and probably more particularly Scotch whiskey, anything that is bottled under 46% alcohol. So if it's bottled under 46, and basically when I went through every one of my scotches, every single bottle of scotch I have was either 40 or 43. 40 is the bare minimum legally for scotch, and then so everything was like 40 or 43, no variation. 40, 43, 40, 43, every bottle. So anything bottled less than 46% has to be chill filtered. What that basically means is at the point where it's ready to be put into the bottle, they chill it down. And here's the reason why. And then this is what's going to make trying the Quinta Ruban interesting. Basically, when it's less than 40%, less than 46% alcohol, if you just put it into the bottle and don't chill filter it, there's kind of like fatty lipids in the whiskey that begin to separate, and it has nothing to do with the taste and is really a cosmetic thing, but it'll like if you pour it into a glass, it'll almost look like your scotch, like, and you let it sit and you look down, it almost looks like your scotch is getting a little bit smoky. And maybe you, especially if you put it in an ice cube, so you may have noticed at some point in your life, maybe you've had a glass of scotch and drop in an ice cube, and then you kind of look down and it looks like it's starting to get a little bit smoky, or just like the visual of it's getting a little bit uneven. Or that can happen in the bottle. So like that's why a lot of before chill filtration was invented, like so many of the scotch bottles were like dark green stuff that kind of hide a lot of that. But basically, if you don't chill filter, so if it's less than 40%, less than 46%, these fatty lipids, basically everything just kind of starts to separate a little bit, and it has nothing to do with the taste you experience, but it's just visually, it almost looks like a microscopic flaw almost. Okay, so now if you bottle it at 46% or above, you don't have to chill filter it, which means those fatty lipids remain. Mm-hmm. Okay, but because it's 46% alcohol, the complexity of the scotch is still able to maintain and stay together, so that separation doesn't occur. Mm-hmm. So what you get when you have a scotch that is non-chill filtered, so we should notice when we talked about legs, we should notice we basically have something here that's going to have more texture to it. We might be able to see that on legs on the glass, but in the mouthfeel, there should just be more texture on the mouthfeel. It won't change the taste, but there's a trend now that a lot of scotches are trying to start bottling it. Some scotches are trying to put out more products at 46 or higher so they can put on the label non-chill filtered, because a lot of aficionados, a lot of diehard scotch drinkers are finding a lot of difficult, but they're trying to find more non-chill filtered scotch.
You can see the legs.
Mm-hmm. So, Quinta Ruban, let me go ahead and read. The darkest and most intense whiskey in the extra matured range. Glenmorangie Quinta Ruban has spent 10 years maturing in American white oak casks before being transferred specifically into selected ruby port pipes from the Quintas or wine estates of Portugal. Extra maturation in these port pipes develops Glenmorangie's Quinta Ruban into a voluptuous spirit with a complex balance of sweet and dry flavors and an intriguing contrast of smooth and crisp, cooling textures. Non-chill filtered for additional aroma and mouthfeel. So on the aroma, this is where they're saying the dark mint chocolate, mm-hmm. tangerine, oranges, sandalwood, walnut, and then a spicy finish of pepper and nutmeg. So again, on the aroma, mint chocolate, tangerine, orange, walnut, and maybe some pepper and nutmeg on the nose.
I get the pepper. The orange
definitely
too.
Even on the nose.
I get the nutmeg.
Yeah, those are dominant. There's dominant spices you can get right off the top.
That's what I wondered with that dark, even with that dark color, it suggests more spiciness.
Well, I was going to say the appearance of it, just in the bottle, looks like a spiced rum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Woo! Certainly a lot more spice on the taste. So the taste, mint chocolate and walnuts envelop the palate like velvet. laying the foundations for rose, Turkish delight, and sweet orange.
I don't know what Turkish delight is.
No, I don't either.
I did detect a little bit of rose.
You know what? I actually 100% agree. After the finish.
The finish, absolutely.
After the finish, and it kind of begins to go away, there's like this hint of rose in your mouth almost.
No Turkish delight, but now that I know Lasanta is Gaelic for warm and passionate, I can go home and tell my wife that tonight because she'll be mad at me for drinking all that.
The finish, long-lasting, silky aftertaste, leaving dark chocolate, mint, and traces of orange. So they really... That's why I have these mint chocolates in front of you guys. If you want to attempt, they're in the little green wrappers. But from the reps to the writing, they keep mentioning mint and chocolate. And in this is one that was interesting. In the description of the whiskey itself, the aroma, the taste, and the finish, 4 times they mentioned mint and chocolate.
I'm not getting it.
Now the mint can be super, super subtle, and it can be from the cask. It can be something where for that different wood, you might pick up some earthy elements that might come through as a vegetative, but maybe something that's sweet that might be reminiscent of mint. I can get it on the nose. There's so much spice on the taste, it's hard to taste it on the nose. I can nose the mint.
Spice was the first thing I noticed. The first 2, just letting it sit on the tongue, it was totally smooth.
Mm-hmm.
That one tingled the tongue, and the first 2 didn't. You didn't really start picking up on the flavors until you swallowed.
Do you guys all still have some Quinta Ruban in a glass?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This time I want you to take a sip of it, specifically thinking about that non-chill filtered. So there's basically supposed to be some tannins, some fatties, some oils, things in there that aren't in any other scotch. I want you let it roll back on the tongue, and does it feel almost like a little bit thicker or more like there's more texture,
like
the way it rolls
syrupy.
around the mouth?
A little more syrupy. Not as thick as syrup, but definitely thicker.
Higher viscosity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the term I'm looking for.
So that's why the aficionados are really interested in finding more and more non-chill filtered scotch, which you're only going to get it scotch that is 46% or up. So it's something interesting to know.
If you roll that off the roof of your mouth,
okay,
you pick up different flavors.
Let me do that.
What are you getting?
Maybe that's where more of the chocolate and the mint come in.
You know what? Because I said before I got mint on the aroma. This time I just picked up the glass to take a sip, and chocolate hit my nose. Now I know everybody's kind of busted out the chocolate, so it could just be that. But I just picked up the glass and brought it up, and instantly, chocolate, it was the first thing that hit me. 2016 International Wine and Spirit Competition, Gold Award. 2017 International Spirits Challenge, Gold Medal. Once again, racking up the awards. Now, a little bit about Ruby Port. So this was extra matured for 2 years in Ruby Port. Ruby Port is the freshest and least complex of fortified wines. Deep red in color, so that's why this has an even darker color. Deep red in color and filled with sweet flavors of red fruits. Ruby Port is made from wine produced from a blend of red grapes, fortified and aged no more than 3 years to maintain its fresh flavor and brilliant colors. That's a little bit about Ruby Port.
So I did get a hint of port, like port wine. You get a hint of that also.
There's no question. It looks different than the rest in the glass. Tastes different than the rest, bar none.
It even feels different.
It even seems like it starts out smoother and then hit you with more of a bang than the original.
A lot of spice. Yep, a lot of spice at the end. All right, so now we move on. Well, any other thoughts before we move on to Nectar d'Or? So, from everything that I've seen online, I know that Nectar d'Or, or means gold, so it's basically nectar of gold. Nectar d'Or. But it seems to be pronounced d'Or, Nectar d'Or. Seems to be how everybody from Glenmorangie pronounced it, Nectar d'Or. Almost like we're opening and closing a door. So, now this one, obviously the original, the Lasanta and Quinta Ruban are the same price. They're about $10 more than the original. So you have your original, then for $10 more you have the Lasanta and Quinta Ruban. But I think the Nectar d'Or, a bottle is normally about maybe $30 more than the regular original. And that's because of the very, 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 very unique and rare grape and wine that this is coming from a barrel. So we'll learn about that. So Nectar d'Or. Great. Here's their description first. Great to see French casks that actually complement a whiskey so very rare. An exercise in outrageously good, sweet, dry balancing. It is here in hand-selected wine barracks from Sauternes, the most famous and ancient sweet wine growing region of France, that this whiskey develops its rich, spicy, and dessert-like flavors. Non-chill filtered for additional... Ooh, wait a minute. That can't be right. No, this is also non-chill filtered. This is 46% as well. So here's another non-chill filtered. I did not know that. Non-chill filtered for additional aroma and mouthfeel. Now, before we nose this, I have some information. I do want to... Did you have a question?
Who is it perfected by, Fred?
Who's what perfected by?
Nectar d'Or.
What do you mean?
Did you not notice on the label?
Does it say the Men of Tain or something?
16 of them.
Yeah, so the story behind the Men of Tain, so obviously Glenmorangie is up in the area of Tain, and in the 80s they launched a marketing campaign that was called like the 16 Men of Tain, and I guess it was that the Men of Tain are the ones that basically manufacture the malt. So they basically said, it's all about the malt. It's about these 16 men of Tain. Well, they say today, in fact, there's a lot more than 16 of the guys working the fields today. But these guys originally were the 16 men of Tain that worked the fields to produce and get them all the malt. So that's why you'll see on the bottles, the Men of Tain.
I thought that was a war story. Earlier you brought that up. I was completely let down by that. Doug had me so excited over what that was going to be.
16 Men of Tain.
We could come up with a new story. During World War II,
they split them into two companies, 8 and 8. Yeah. Each would be an octane.
An octane, and they went out at night onto the battlefields with bottles of Glenmorangie Original to keep the spirits of the troops up.
That's all they had. They made Molotov cocktails out of it.
So now, but let me read about this Sauternes wine because it is very fascinating, and that's what makes this very unique, rare, and why it costs more. Sauternes is an old world wine, so it's named after its area of origin, the Sauternes region in Bordeaux. Sauternes might be the most expensive dessert you ever order. This noble rot, and we'll talk about this noble rot affected wine is one of the luscious, most delectable sweet wines available, but it's not cheap to produce. While noble rot isn't easy to come by, the climate where Sauternes is grown allows for the benevolent fungus to do its magic more often than not. However, harvests still vary. Noble rot wasn't always accepted winemaking technique. Though it's difficult to pinpoint exactly when the use of rotten grapes became accepted, there are records from the 17th century detailing noble rot on certain grapes. But the initial practice of consuming rotten grapes was kept somewhat mum. However, by the end of the 18th century, Sauternes' reputation was internationally famous. Of the fans, President George Washington, who ordered 30 bottles after tasting a bottle of Sauternes wine. The Sauternes region is 25 miles southeast of Bordeaux, near the rivers of Garonne and Ciron. Because the rivers are different temperatures, so there's these two rivers that are different temperatures. During the warm and dry fall, they produce a mist, and this mist aids in the formation of this fungus this benevolent fungus that basically hits up the grapes. By the time the afternoon rolls around, the sun knocks the mist away, drying the grapes and keeping them safe from the malevolent fungus. So basically there's this natural rotting, but that's what Sauternes, it's these grapes.
So it's not too much rot, just enough rot.
It's a noble rot.
It's noble rot.
You got it. So that's these particular grapes are what are used to make this Sauternes wine. So, and the thing is, it's interesting, it's rare, it has an incredibly unique taste that it delivers, super sweet, but The reason it's expensive is because they can't really control the process. It's just a natural. So every year, the harvest of however many Sauterne grapes are going to be available differs every year, and there's really no control over it. Interesting.